All right, so now in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some techniques for creating some simple chords and just creating a very simple arrangement for the song, and also filling in some of that space in the left hand when you have just one chord for one or two measures, all right, which happens a few times in this song. There will not be sheet music for this particular chapter. I'm going to do an arrangement later on in this video in which there will be sheet music there, and I'll teach you that arrangement note for note. All right, so let's just start. When thinking about simple chords, triads are always good. I also like, doing something like this, adding the sixth onto a major triad. That's nice. You can also do things like this in which you leave the third out. I sometimes like leaving the third of chords out because it makes it a little bit more ambiguous, gives it a little bit more of an open sound. So, now you see what I did here? So I'm breaking that chord up. I'm not just playing it and just holding down that chord for. I'm not just holding it down for the 6 beats, all right? So I can, and when I move to that F. Let's see what I did here, root 5, third. And then when I get up to that chord, I can play the root down here and then the rest of the notes of the chord. See how I'm voicing the notes of the chord down from the melody. I don't play notes above the melody. There's a little fill in there with that chord. I'm going from the 9th of the chord up to the 3rd, back down to the 9th and the root. So on the A7, I can give it a little bit of a roll. I want to be careful not to roll all of my chords though, because it starts to sound a little too predictable. I can also throw my 9th in there as well. That's nice on this chord. So here, I can actually even just do this. So what I'm doing is I'm harmonizing the melody. Now when I'm harmonizing the melody, what I'm doing is I'm thinking, all right, so I can play thirds. I can go down a third from the melody note, right? And third is just 1, 2, 3 notes away. I can also do a fifth in this case. That's not going to sound good. The fifth sounds fine here, but sixths also sound fantastic. Left hand, see how I'm doing that? Root 5, 3, 9, root. Sorry. And then that G7, once again, putting that 9th in there. If I want to contemporize it a little bit, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later, I throw that sharp 11. So you see what I did right here? I'm holding down just a simple root 7 in the left hand for the G7. But then instead of just playing the single note of the melody, I'm adding a 6th below there. I can do the same thing here. See the 6th, and then the left hand, root 5, 9, 5, 3. Okay. Here's just a C triad, playing a root and a fifth in the left hand. Oh. I can go to G. Now, when you see that G7 chord, to provide a little bit of motion, what I did first is start with the sus. I'm doing a sus4, and then I resolve it. And then here I can do 6. So on the C there. And then on F. So here on root 5 on the F, and then I can just play the octave on the A over E. Notice I'm even leaving the 7th out. I don't have to play the 7th on the A7. I could if I wanted to. D minor, there's the 7th, the root, the 3rd, and the 5th. Okay. Got to the G7. Pretty simple there, pretty straightforward. Root 7, 5th, 7th, and 3rd. I can hit the chord again to the C. That's good for the C sharp diminished. And D minor. So I'm crushing that 11th in there. That gets a nice contemporary sound. G7 and put that sharp 11 in if I want, or just plain old G7, C. Let's talk about that. Now, one thing you'll notice is I'm sometimes switching back and forth between a 6/8 feel and then just a 4/4 feel. So I'm doing this rubato, I can get away with that. If I'm playing with a group, then I'm not going to be able to necessarily get away with that. It might be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I do it from measure 13, 1, 2, 3. I might have to stay in that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rhythmic pattern. But you see how I'm just breaking up that chord in the left hand for the C and then the G7 over D and a C over E. Very simple. That's the E, the 3rd and the root, 5th and the melody. C7, F minor, now I like doing that on that C when you have that little bit of time. You just go up to that, it's basically the F over the C, back to the C. Here, just a root 5 and roots, that works perfectly because it's like kind of a builds up the intensity level. Fix this chord. Builds up the intensity level of that section, just playing those roots. See how also how I'm using that thumb, I kind of ghost that note. Notice once again, when I'm playing these melody notes, I'm voicing down as many notes of the chord as I can get, all right? There's the notes of C, C, C7, crushing the 9th in there. All right, so now, that's just using basic triads, your basic block 7th chords. We didn't get into too much of the contemporization of the song. I just wanted to show you that so that if you're trying to come up with a basic arrangement, hopefully some of those techniques will help you out. You're probably not going to be able to get everything that I did, and that's okay. If you have to go through and just play in triads to do it very simply, there's nothing wrong with that. Start with that, and then watch this chapter. You will get a few tips and tricks, as you watch it more and more. But then also watch this next contemporary one, because this is where we're going to start getting into some of the more contemporary voicings. And I'm going to try and not change the song too much, because I want to show you how to contemporize a song without having to change the chords. So I'll see you in the next chapter. We'll work on that.